What's up, bodyweight warriors, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be taking you through an updated version of the Pancake follow along routine. If you want to watch the original version, then I will link that one down below. Today's version is going to be probably a little bit more on the beginner end of the spectrum. As with the recent splits updates to these follow along videos, they're based on the routines that are available within my app Tribe, which I'll link in the description down below, as well as all the other programs on there that cover handstand, strength, and more. Right, without further ado, let's jump into this video. So first up, equipment. As always, you're definitely going to want to have some cushions. Yoga blocks would probably be ideal, but you're going to need some supports. And you're probably going to want something in which you can sit on to perform on the exercises. So a chair would work well, but equally the edge of a sofa would also work fine as well. Other than that, you're just going to need some free space, and we can jump straight into it. We're going to start off with an old favorite, the usual hip swivels. So starting in the seated position, chest nice and upright, facing forward. We're going to drop both legs to one side. So going into internal rotation, external rotation, trying to keep the chest facing forward, swivel back, swivel down. We're going to do 10 of these in total, just the standard sort of warm up, just to get the hips and lower back moving around. Pause for a couple of seconds in each one, and just return back to the center. So as I said, this routine is best for beginners. So really this is sort of the routine that would be good if you're working on Pancake, but you're struggling to sit in that bottom position on the floor. If you can't quite get a nice seated position on the floor, this routine is perfect for you. If you can sit on the floor comfortably, I would recommend trying the original routine as an option. Right, we're going to do one last one to the right hand side. We're going to finish with our right leg down, and we're just going to shift ourselves into the usual, the 90-90 position. So we've got our front leg at 90 degrees, we've got our back leg coming out at 90 degrees, bent to 90 degrees, and then we're just going to hinge forward over that front leg to a point of stretch. We're not going to round the back. We're going to try and feel like we're going to roll that pelvis over. Should be feeling a stretch in this front glute. As usual, we're just going to perform a little bit of PNF here. It's just the first round, and then we get on to some harder stuff as we go. So I'm going to try and press that knee down into the ground. I'm going to hold for 5 seconds. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're going to breathe out. Try and sink a little deeper into that stretch. I'm going to do another one of these. So 5 seconds, press down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe out, go deeper. Just going to hold this last position here for 15 seconds. Try and go as deep as you can, but whilst going deep, we're going to try and lift the chest up. If you can get comfortably, like stomach towards that thigh, you can start shifting a little bit of your angle towards more of the mid-shin, and then eventually the foot. Right, that's perfect. We're just going to come up now. We're going to twist that torso. So we're actually going to be facing more, so our torso, we're going to try and get over our rear leg. So we're going to test that internal rotation a bit on this left-hand side now. Just going to hold this position for about 20 seconds. Again, just a bit of a warm-up, really kind of easing into things. But the Pancake can definitely be limited by your ability to rotate in that pelvis. Obviously, especially when we're just going for understanding how to get into that seated Pancake position, a lot of it comes from being able to rotate the hips. So another 5 seconds here. Perfect. We're going to swivel now, and then we're just going to drop to the left-hand side. And again, we're going to come over, sternum going over that front leg left. And we're going to try and hinge forward. Again, not rounding, hinging into a point of stretch. Once we get down to the bottom of it, we're going to apply that force. We're going to contract for 5 seconds. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Sink a bit deeper. I'm going to do another one here. So you can contract. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Sink a little bit deeper. As I mentioned on the last one, if this is a bit easy for you, you can start moving more towards that mid-shin position. And I'm just going to hold this last stretch for 15 seconds. So just keep holding and try to keep your breathing pretty consistent. Like just When I say deep breathing, I sort of mean like breathing into your diaphragm, not like big sort of chest mouth breathing. Through the nose, into the belly. We can come up. And again, I'm going to rotate to the right hand side now. Try and get that sternum facing over that back leg. I know we end up doing like 90-90s and hip swivels pretty much every follow along, to be honest, but they're just gold for like a warm up. They just kind of hit everything in 2 exercises in terms of just loosening up the hips. It's pretty much my standard warm up now for like the best part of a decade. So it's always a good way to kick things off. Right, staying seated, you're going to want to have somewhere that you can support your back, so you can sit against. So I've got the wall behind me. If you've got a sofa or a wall, that'd be great. You need to be able to do that. And we're just going to bring ourselves into a butterfly or a Tailor Pose position. So I want to make sure, the reason we want to make sure that we're supported at the back, because if we aren't supported, we're going to be contracting our hip flexors, which we want to help relax to try and hold ourselves upright. So by supporting ourselves, we can help the hip flexors relax. So first of all, into a nice butterfly position. One of the things that can limit Pancake is our ability to open our legs. We want to be able to span our legs nice and wide so we can fold forward into that Pancake position. So we're going to do a little bit of work of the short head adductor, then the long head adductor. So for this one, I'm just going to sit for 15 seconds, loosen things up, and then we're going to again do a little bit of PNF. So the first one, I want to have hands on the top of the knees. I'm going to try and actively pull my knees up into them, but I'm going to hold my hands there so I'm resisting the stretch. I'm not going to let my knees go anywhere. So we're going to lift up, we're going to hold for 10 seconds. So lift, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're going to breathe out. We're going to try and push our knees further down. Next contraction, in this position, still holding them there, I'm going to try and actively pull my knees up using my hands, but then I'm going to use my glutes to resist that movement. So we're doing kind of the opposite to what we did beforehand. I'm going to use my glutes to try and pull my knees down towards the ground. Again, we're going to do another 10 seconds. So when you're ready, try to pull those knees down, resist with the hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then hands on top again, try to push down, get a little bit more range out of it. We're going to hold this last position just for another 15, 20 seconds. If you want to, you can do another contraction of that, lifting up and then pulling down with the glutes as well. But just one for the moment, and just spending a little bit of time here is what we need. So another 5 seconds or so. Whilst we're sat here, if you're enjoying this video, hit the thumbs up button. Would highly appreciate it. It does help to support the channel. And as always, if you have any suggestions or requests for any future follow-alongs, leave a comment down below and I'll do my best to make it happen. Right, shake things off a little bit. And we're just going to do one more round of the 90-90, then another adduct one, and then we're going to jump into some Pancake work. So here's what I'd like you to do. I'm going to go back to that 90-90 position. So right leg is now going to be the one being stretched. But what I want you to do, if you can do, I want you to try and shuffle that left leg back a bit so we can even start rolling the hips into a bit more of a pigeon-like position. So if you can do that, fantastic. If you can just about do the 90-90, that is also fine. So just try to roll yourself over to whatever you can handle. And again, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do the same contractions. So I'm going to try and press my knee down into the ground. Going to hold for 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to try and shift a little bit further forward over that front leg. I'm going to do one more. So press down with the knee. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax and go a little bit deeper. I'm going to hold this last position for about 10 seconds. and come up and out of it. And we're going to bring that leg back to that 90-90 position if you are not already in there. And then we're not just going to use a passive internal rotation stretch now. We're going to actively try to contract our muscle in that position. So we're going to try and keep facing forward, sternum over that right leg. And then from here, we're just going to try and lift up that back leg as much as we can. Beware of cramping in and around the TFL and the glute and the hip flexor. It's kind of normal, kind of fine. We're going to do 3 lifts of 5 seconds. Okay? So when you're ready, we're going to try and lift 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, relax. When we're lifting, try to avoid like leaning over too much. Try to keep nice and vertical if you can do. You can lean a little bit forward if that helps get the foot off the ground, or even if the intention is just you're trying to lift the foot off the ground, but it's not necessarily moving, the intention is what matters. So 2 more lifts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Relax. We're going to do one last one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, we're just going to turn and face that foot for about 20 seconds. So this is like a little bit step on from what we did as the warm-up round. So a few seconds here. All right, we're just going to swivel around. My mat keeps moving. That's fine. We're going to come onto that left-hand side. Again, if you've got the flexibility, if you can do, try to rotate yourself into that pigeon position. If not, stay in the 90-90 and we'll do the same thing. So we're going to press that knee down into the ground. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Going to hinge further forward. So again, press down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then we're just going to hold this last position for about 20 seconds. 10 seconds. Again, just keep breathing. Keep feeling that stretch. And again, we can rotate out. We can come back to that 90-90 position we talked about beforehand. Facing over that left-hand side again, I'm going to try and lift up this leg. 3 holds of 5 seconds. Remember, the intention of lifting is just as good as lifting. So get ready. Lift. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And relax. This one is definitely just a not super fun, crampy one. But what else did you click on the video? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And drop down. A few more seconds rest, and then we'll do the last one. So lift. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then we're going to rotate, turn into that right leg, and just hold for another 15 seconds. Right, so this is where you're going to want that chair or that support for a moment. I'm going to do away with the mat, and we can move on to that particular drill. So for this one, we're going to do a horse stance slide out. So what that involves is we're basically just going to drop into a middle split very briefly. But this is before we do our pancake stuff again, just to get kind of the long head adductor. So for this, you want to support in front of you, which is why I've got the chair. And we're going to start in what would be a nice horse stance position. And then we're going to support ourselves nice and comfortably on the chair. And then we're just going to let the feet kind of slide out as we push the hips backwards into what would be a middle split-ish position. Not too worried about how deep you're going. We're just trying to feel like pushing the hips back, letting the legs slide out, hold for a few seconds, and then we're just gonna walk back to that middle horse stance position. Now, if you're flexible, you can do this with hands on the ground, which is what I'm gonna do, but I just wanted to illustrate with the support as well. So that for me is 1. We're gonna do 5 in total. So I'm gonna do 4 more, and just really kind of at your own pace. You know, this one's more about feeling it out than anything. So just let the legs slide out. Most important thing is as you let the legs slide out, also try to push the hips backwards into that middle split sort of stretch. Go down as far as feels comfortable. And then we're just gonna walk the feet, slide the feet back in, reset, go again. So another 3 here. Again, we're not necessarily trying to push middle split in this one. It's just a pancake one, but this is just a nice little warm up. So number 4, keep letting those legs slide out, push the hips backwards. Slide them back in, so last one here. Let the legs slide out. And then we can finish up. Lovely. Right, so that's the first part of the routine. The next part we're gonna be doing is some standing pancake work. So this is when you're gonna want to grab that yoga block. So we're gonna do a standing pancake. So for standing pancake, we wanna get ourselves into, a pancake position. Leg width here is more about comfort and safety. We don't want to feel like we're too wide because that's going to shut us down. So kind of go as wide as feels comfortable. We're going to work primarily the side position. So that can incorporate a little bit more lower back. And we're going to work on contracting the hip flexors. So what we're going to do is we're going to sit this yoga block in here. And I'm going to try and pull myself in that standing pancake position into the block. I'm going to try and crush the block. So I'm going to use my quad and my hip flexor to try and crush that object. So the bigger the object, the easier it is. The smaller the object, the harder it is. I'm going to do 2 reps per side, 5 to 10 second crush. And then we're going to want our chair for part number 2. So let's start off with the crushes first. Get yourself set up into a nice standing, comfortable pancake. We're going to start with the right hand side, so we're going to place that object on that thigh, going to come across, support ourselves if we need to, and then we're going to do those contractions. So I'm going to try and actively squeeze my quad, squeeze my abs. I'm going to try and pull myself, crush that object. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come out a little bit of it, come back into support, rest for a second, and we're going to do another one. So 5 seconds, really as hard as you can. You're going to try and crush that object. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take that object out. We're going to put it on the other side, left hand side. We're going to walk across, same thing. Engage the quad, engage the abs, try and crush that object. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come out of it a little bit, relax. If you can try to make the object smaller or try to move the object further down the leg. It's gonna make it harder. Let's do another one. Crush. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lovely. So I'm gonna put that away. I'm gonna grab my chair now. And this is where we're gonna do our next drill. So we're going to do a seated good morning. Now with a seated good morning, we want to be on a nice surface and we can focus on letting this hip hinge motion happen. So we're just going to try and fold forward and reach the hands forward and come back up. So that's a rep. Now, if that's easy, we're just going to extend those legs out a little bit further. And then we're going to try and eventually get to coming more onto the edge, a straight position for the hinge. But really, we want to be focusing on being able to hinge first, so bending the knees isn't a bad thing. Right, so hands by the sides initially, we're going to hinge forward as we do reach overhead, come back up. So we're going to do 8 of these. So go down, reach forward, reach the hands as far forward as you can in that overhead position, come back. Make sure you're nice and wide with the legs as well. Should feel pretty comfortable. So 6 here. 7. And 8. We're just going to hold this 8 position. We're going to bring the hands more down to the floor line if you can. I'm just going to try and reach as far forward as I can and try and touch something in front of me. Keep reaching for another 5 seconds. Keep pushing the knees out so you give yourself some room to get down there. Keep reaching and relax. And come back to seated. So you can put that one away, put the chair to the side, and we're going to take another sort of 30 seconds of rest, and then we're going to do another one of those standing pancakes again. It's a pretty good routine, this. It's like a little bit more strength based. Like if you wanted to, that seated good morning, it could be done in the gym. We could add some weight to it. There's many different avenues that you could take this routine if you want to. Obviously, I'm doing it at home with pretty much no equipment, which is kind of the point. Right, so grab that yoga block again. Now, if you want to, if it felt a little bit more comfortable on that last one, obviously we're going to do standing. I'd recommend you do standing, but if you can do, we can try the seated option. So seated option is exactly the same. We sit and straddle, we do the crush from side to side. The thing is, if you're kind of sat back here rounded, there's not much point doing the seated version. It's just not going to give you the benefit. Being standing, gravity is going to be more advantageous, so do standing. But for the sake of it, I'm going to demonstrate the seated version as well. So, right hand side first. I'm going to try and lean over. You're going to use your quad, use your abs to try and crush that block. So we're going to crush. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Come out a little bit, relax. And again, as I said earlier, so you can move that object further down the leg to make this a little bit harder. So crush. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And relax. So we're going to come onto the other side now. Same thing, get the object in there. Get ready to crush. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ease out of it a little bit. Place that block or support further down the leg. And then last one, just crush. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Let's put that away. Let's get the chair back. And we're going to do another seated good morning. So for this one, if you can do, I'd like you to come a little bit more to the edge. I'd like you to try and go a little bit straighter with the legs. It doesn't have to be completely straight. A little bit of bend is fine. And we're going to do the same thing. 6 to 8 reps, reaching forward with the hands, hinging forward. I'm just going to go sit. I feel like I'm going to push the chair away when I do this. So, reaching over forward. And come back. Four. 5. Have a few more. Pausing for a few seconds in the bottom. 6. 7. And the last one, we're just going to hold in that bottom position and we come down to the floor. Try to reach as far forward as you can. Keep reaching. Keep reaching. And come back up. I'm just going to sit for a second and loosen things off a bit. some hip swivels if you want to. If you wanted to, as with a lot of these, you could do another round of those crushes followed by the good mornings. I think that would work really well. But for now, we're just gonna test our pancake out a little bit. And to do that, we're gonna do some slide outs. So, before this routine, I'm imagining that you couldn't sit in a pancake position. So now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna see if we can do. So we're gonna start with a slide out with our legs bent. So very similar to like the hip swivel sort of position, but this time we're gonna grab the hands on our feet. From here, we're gonna let the legs slide out. And what we're gonna think about doing is trying to keep this connection between our stomach and our chest, or kind of imagine that's a space, because obviously our stomach's gonna go forward in the middle. We're just gonna try and imagine we're gonna keep this close. We're just gonna let our legs slide out. And on the way down, we're gonna do 2 to 3 contractions. We're gonna try and press the heels down to the ground, contract the hamstrings, hold for 5 seconds, breathe out, go deeper, much like the 90-90 at the beginning. We're just gonna see how far we can go. So, grab hold of those feet, let the legs slide out. As you get to a point of stretch, let's pause and drive those heels down to the ground. Try and do a hamstring curl. 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathe out. Try to go a little bit deeper. Slide out more. Again, same thing. Hamstring curl. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then slide out and see how far can you get. I'm just going to hold this last position for, I don't know, 10 seconds. And that's it. That is basically the pancake routine. As always, guys, I'd love to hear from you. How did you get on with this routine? Did you find it helpful? Did it work for you? Did you see an improvement? Or do you have any requests for any future follow-alongs? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you just enjoyed this one, you can always hit that thumbs up button and support the channel. Right next to it is that subscribe button. If you want to join the Bodyweight Warrior tribe, don't miss out on any more future videos, follow-alongs, all of that sort of good stuff. But other than that, I'll catch you in the next one. Have a strong week and